made nearly 100 grand more within 6 months of the following year than I had made in the previous 2 years, each year, right? Phenomenal difference.
Welcome to the Master Your Business podcast, where we bring you the best in branding, marketing, and customer experience strategies. I'm Deirdre Martin, your host. And if you've been asking yourself how to level up your growing business, your marketing, your customer experience, or how to make more of an impact with your brand, this show is for you. You'll discover actionable tips and insights to help businesses just like yours gain clarity and illuminate the path to success. Train with industry experts, learn sales and marketing strategies, business and mindset hacks, and be inspired by authentic entrepreneurship stories. As your host, I'll share the no-nonsense advice that accelerated my journey from boring bank manager to industry thought leader in marketing and customer experience. Learn how I made the leap into the world of six-figure success, digital courses, keynote speaking, and co-authoring a #1 bestseller in just 1 year. Together with interviews from industry experts, this show ensures you're seen, heard, and hired by your ideal clients. Join our growing community of subscribers and let the Master Your Business podcast empower you to tackle your most significant challenges on your path to business success. Don't miss out. It's your turn to learn from the best and master your dream business.
Today, I'm sharing with you something that's a little bit of a paradox, and that is spending money on yourself to actually save you money in the long run. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, Deirdre, is this some sort of woo-woo self-help nonsense? Let me share a personal story and a story from one of my clients. A few years ago, I was at a breaking point. I was showing up on social media every single day. I was doing the things, yet nothing, like no leads, crickets, as they say. Any leads that I did have, people who did come on and have calls with me, they would say I was too expensive and that I was overpriced and all this sort of stuff. And basically all of those calls led nowhere. I was getting no clients. I did have some clients already, thankfully, and that was keeping my bank balance ticking over ever so slightly. But the reserve that I had built up in my bank balance was barely there. It was getting as dry as frickin' Sahara Desert, right? That is the honest gospel truth. And it was coming up to Christmas. It was the start of December, and my birthday is in December, and my husband wanted to do something nice for me. And I know what was going on in his brain was that he was looking ahead to the end of the month and thinking, what's our financial situation going to be? Are we going to be able to buy nice presents for the kids this year? It's Deirdre's birthday. I'd like to be able to do something nice for her. So he was gently asking me, how much am I going to be able to contribute this month? At times, because I was burying my head in the sand and avoiding answering him, he was maybe not so gently asking me how much I was going to be able to contribute to the household this month. And that was literally what was happening. I was completely avoiding answering him. Christmas was looming. I was a complete and utter stress ball of anxiety, and it was all because of money. And why I was avoiding answering him was because I knew the answer was going to be, I'm not even going to be able to contribute what I had been contributing up until December, because the bank balance was so dry. And I was ashamed to tell him that it was going to be nada, nothing. I was absolutely ashamed. I felt so guilty because he was going out to work every day, and more I was starting to rely on his money coming in. And I barely had enough in my bank balance left to cover the direct debits to keep my business going, for my website, to keep my website up and running, for things like Canva Pro and all of those things to help me create the content that might eventually lead to leads. So I really was between a rock and a hard place. I had two choices, and this was a difficult conversation that I had with my husband at the time, and it was like he was urging me to go and find a job. And I thought, there is no fucking way whatsoever that I want to go and get a job. The thought of that, oh my God, in the pit of my stomach was just soul crushing. The thoughts of working for somebody else full time, part-time even, was soul crushing. Now, what I had done at the time, because money was tight, was that I had gotten a freelance job, and that was a godsend, but it was barely enough to keep things ticking over. So I was either get a full-time job or make my frickin' business work. This sparked extra determination in me, but it also sparked me to do something crazy. I borrowed my tax money, which, on a side note, you should never do, folks. And I borrowed that tax money and I invested in myself. I took a bet on myself because I was so determined. I really know that I have so much value to give people that I just felt there's something not right. There's something off. There's something a little bit amiss. Because I know the clients who I had were getting freaking incredible results. They were doing phenomenally. They would sing from the rooftops about the success they were getting. People who hated marketing were loving marketing. People who never marketed were marketing consistently, and they were getting results, but I wasn't. I genuinely was not at that time. And what I did with that money that you should never ever dive into was I invested in a business mentor, and I started working with my mindset coach again. And what had happened up until that point with my mindset coach was I finished in a program with them maybe in June, and I hadn't renewed it. So for the first 6 months in the year while I was coaching with somebody, I was doing okay. But in those 6 months, 5 months between July and the start of December, it wasn't working with anybody. And guess what happened then once I had these two people behind me? Guess what happened? Within 6 months, I broke the 6-figure threshold. Okay, this was my first time in business to exceed 6 figures. I made over 100K. I made 100K, right? In practically 6 months. Now, that wasn't all cash in the bank at that time. A lot of it was sales, but it was still freaking phenomenal. And a lot of it was cash in the bank. Now, I realized then, when I realized as I was going through this process, that what had happened was because I didn't have anybody behind me, I was wandering aimlessly. I was doing busy work every day, like I was at my desk every day, and I was there. Family don't start work till 10, but I was there till maybe 8 o'clock, and I might come out and cook the dinner and come back in, and I would go off and do the school run and collect the kids and all those sorts of things, go out and look out. But I was literally at my desk from 10 in the morning until maybe 8, 9, or 10 at night. And what I figured out was that it was my messaging wasn't hitting the mark. Now I freaking teach people about messaging. I can help other people with their messaging to hit the mark. But what had happened with me was that it wasn't that my messaging on its own wasn't hitting the mark. Why my messaging wasn't hitting the mark was because naming who my ideal clients were. I wasn't speaking to the people who were my ideal clients in my messaging. I was attracting my ideal clients 100% up until that point in December. I was attracting them, but they were not my ideal paying clients. And every single one of them, I would have loved to have helped. But for me to have stayed in business, I couldn't help them for free. Okay. And recently, one of my business accelerator clients, Annie, she shared a testimonial with me, and she had had a similar challenge. And interestingly, I hired her, or she hired me 12 months after I was in that situation that I was in. And here's what happened with her. Okay. She was making money in her business as well. But the types of people she was attracting, whilst they were her ideal clients and they were paying her, folks, not like me, I was attracting ideal clients who couldn't afford to pay me. Annie was attracting the ideal clients who could afford her, and she could help them, and she was getting them fantastic results. But the people whom she was attracting were totally burnt out. And the cost of that for her was that every single client meeting she had felt heavy. And so for her, she knew that she needed to tweak her messaging, because the people that she really longed to help, they were the same people, but she wanted to catch them before they got to that burnout stage. She wanted highly ambitious people who were energized and motivated, who really wanted to better themselves, but weren't burned out. True story. What happened was I sent her a connection request on LinkedIn. She accepted. And before I even got to send her a message to say, hey, great to connect, how's things going with you or what have you, she reached out to me and she said, Deirdre, I'm reading the Building a Story Brand book by Donald Miller right now. And I spotted on your profile, you're a story brand guide. Can we have a call? I was like, oh, good. Let's see where this goes. And a lot of people who've worked with story brand guides as a story brand guide to do the work that we do with story brand guide, it's not cheap, right? We have minimum fees that we have to charge so that everybody is on a level playing field as a story brand guide, which makes total sense. And here's me thinking, nearly saying before any comes in the call, I'm going to be too expensive again. I was writing it off in my brain, but I was determined. I was determined. And I was determined to just show up and be me and offer her value. And if I could help her at this stage, remember, I'd already made 100K in my business this year. So I was not worried about her not being an ideal paying client. But I was excited to speak to her because I love to talk to people who already know about building a story brand because it's a fantastic framework. So before I got a chance to message Annie on LinkedIn, she had messaged me, as I said, and she booked a call and she filled out my booking form and come on. On that call, I just asked her a few questions around what she was doing and she was planning to update her website and she was like, I've never spoken to this story guy before, so it's like to talk to you. And I'm like, so it's like to talk to you too. And I loved her energy. She was fabulous. And exactly like Annie had said, with her clients being a bit burnt out, a lot of the people I've been attracting were broke. And Annie was making money and she wasn't broke. And I'm like, oh, okay, this could be a good fit for us both. And basically on the call right there, Annie signed up for Business Accelerator. And the first thing that I do with clients in Business Accelerator is work on their messaging. And I use the story brand framework as part of my method to do that. Thing went off, and within 2 months, she had made a 10 times return on investment in Business Accelerator. Okay, so what it cost her to invest in Business Accelerator, she made that back 10 times over within 2 months. Now, to be fair, she's a freaking great marketer already. She is really good at marketing and she loves it. But she came in and she did the messaging with me. She went and applied that to her website. I helped her with her sales copy, and she got a whole group filled with those ambitious people that she really longed to work with. Fast forward another 4 months in Business Accelerator for Annie, and she's made over $80,000. And so that's for her. She said in the testimonial video, she said that was double what she had made over the same period in the previous year. She doubled it. Now, she doubled it, but for her, she's enjoying her business so much more because she's getting her ideal clients now. And it's the same for me. And for Annie, she says, and she says it in the testimonial video, if you haven't seen it, you can watch it. She says that investing in herself and working with me to get messaging nailed has been the single biggest contributor to her success. Now, Annie already had a mindset coach. She didn't have a business coach. So being on Business Accelerator for her offered her that extra bit of business support. People where she could openly talk to about her finance and business and where things are at money-wise, and not being afraid to have those conversations. And now I'm sharing Annie's story, I'm sharing my story. And the reason why I'm sharing these stories is because results like these, whether you have one coach or two, they're not exclusive to people like Annie and I. They're not exclusive to us. Have you ever heard of Steve Jobs? Yeah, the Apple guy. He had a mentor too. So does I don't know, millionaire, billionaire, Stephen Bartlett. Stephen Bartlett has had a mentor since he was 18 years old. Now, I know a lot of you listening, you're not from Ireland or the UK, and you might go and who the fuck is Steve Bartlett, Deirdre? Steve Bartlett is the equivalent of, he's on Dragon's Den, which is the equivalent of Shark Tank in the US, okay? My point is this, and this is why I'm sharing these stories and I'm talking about Steve, the two Steves, is because successful people rarely go it alone. And it's not just anecdotal, I promise you. Studies show that businesses and business owners who use coaching increase their revenue by an average of 46%. 46%, right? For me, in the year before I hired my business mentor, my business coach, who I still have 19 months on at this point, I have more than 10x my revenue as well. In 2022, when I had that really shitty financial year, my income in my business was the same as it had been the previous year. It was crap. I made nearly 100 grand more within 6 months of the following year than I had made in the previous 2 years, each year, right? Phenomenal difference, phenomenal difference. And it's not just because I put in the hard work, it's because I had people supporting me who I could openly talk to about things that were happening in my business and things that were happening outside my business that were impacting me every day, showing up in my business. And here's another statistic I wanted to be mindful of. 70% of coaches, when they have help, it's not just in their work performance that they improve, it's in their relationships and their communication skills and all sorts of other areas as well. So my overall point is this. Sometimes investing in yourself might seem counterintuitive, okay? And I know better than anybody else how counterintuitive that is when money is tight. Like I said, don't do what I did. Keep your tax money for the tax man because you could get in trouble otherwise. You could end up in jail here in Ireland. And here's the thing, and this really is the ultimate point. Not investing can cost you way more. Not investing can cost you way more. Think of it like this, right? If you try to figure things out yourself, it's a time suck, okay? It's hours spent Googling, watching YouTube tutorials, signing up for free shit that might help you, but you don't know because you're doing it by yourself. And you could be making mistakes and you can't see them because you don't know. Because you don't know why you don't know. And that was totally me. That was exactly me. I was just so close to it, I couldn't see it. I was so close to it, I couldn't see it. And that's why when people, even if you're good at stepping back and looking at things from a different perspective, you just can't always see it. So a coach or a mentor can cut your time drastically in terms of the effort that you spend trying to figure stuff out yourself. And often, usually the coach or mentor that you'll have hired, they've already walked this path before you. So because they've walked the path before you, they know what mistakes to help you avoid because they've done it themselves. So it can drastically save you time. The other thing is, while you're spinning your wheels, your competitors could be moving forward. So investing in yourself can help you catch up, even surpass them. And that could be things like thinking disruptively. If you were doing something the way you've always done something, when you start your business, whether you have an accountancy practice or a quantity surveying practice, or you have a coaching business or you're consultant, whatever it might be, if you've worked for somebody else who runs that business, the likelihood is that when you start your own business, that you model it on what you already know, as opposed to thinking, if this didn't exist, what could I create?
Hey, ambitious business owners, are you sick and tired of marketing that just doesn't cut it? Feeling like you're shouting from the void in social media, wondering why your competitors are killing it while you're stuck in the mud? Well, I've got some freaking great news for you. It's time for you to stop shitty marketing and start fucking nailing it. If you're ready to ditch the guesswork and finally attract those dream clients, then listen up. I'm introducing the Business Accelerator Mastermind, your rocket ship to client magnet status and serious cash flow. It's time to break free from those quiet crickets and unlock the next level in your business. Now, I know you might be thinking, Deirdre, just another mastermind. What's so special about this? Well, it isn't your average program. In Business Accelerator, we cut the fluff and get straight to the good stuff. We'll talk about magnetic messaging, where we're crafting a message that actually connects with your ideal clients, making you stand out from the copycat crowd. We're going to turn your business into a client attracting machine. And what I mean by this is turning your social media into a lead generation powerhouse that works for you, not against you. And we're going to work on your thought leader status by establishing yourself as the go-to expert in your field, the one that everybody wants to work with. And the best part, Business Accelerator is for action takers. So if you're ready to break out of that 100K income ceiling where you've been stuck and you're ready to unleash your business potential, well, then you belong here. You don't have time for wasted efforts. You need a proven roadmap to success. Think of Business Accelerator as your marketing secret weapon, where you're going to get ready to transform your business with the BMC method. You're going to get personalized support and a community that's got your back. You can say goodbye to any marketing misery and hello to confidence, hello to clarity, and hello to a thriving business. Okay, I get it. Hearing it from me is one thing, but how about this?
For a long time now, I've had this goal of hitting 20K in 1 month. And so if all of that pans out, the total revenue plus projected revenue comes to around 36,750 USD.
Ready to ditch the frustration and finally see the results you deserve? Well, Business Accelerator is your ticket to success. Applications are open right now, but only for those willing to put in the work up front. Visit www.deirdremartin.ie/Business Accelerator to see if you've got what it takes.
And that's so normal. But that costs you opportunities. That costs you your own category within the marketplace. Whereas if you had somebody to coach you, mentor you, to make you think differently, to ask you the questions that you don't know to ask yourself, that's where you benefit from incredible opportunities. And you can't do that by yourself. The other thing is burnout. I was freaking exhausted when I was so busy not getting clients. I was exhausted. I was more exhausted than I was when I was flat out being fully booked with one-to-one clients and a brand new Business Accelerator and a brand new business mastery mastermind. I was more burnt out when I had no clients than when I had 3 different offers available to people. I shit you not. Okay. And the reason being is because the constant hustle with little reward, it just doesn't work. And when you have more money coming in, it's a way for you to invest in yourself, in your health, in your physical health, in your emotional health, in your mental health, in your spiritual health, in your energy and everything, because your energy and how you show up is a lot of what attracts your ideal clients as well. Now, I'm not saying, with all of that said, I'm not saying that you need to go out and hire the most expensive coach that you can find. And sometimes having one coach is not enough, so maybe you need to hire somebody else as well. I'm not saying that's going to be the case for you, but what I do want you to consider is this. What is one area where having an expert's guidance could make a real difference in your business? Okay, I really want you to think. And maybe it's your messaging. If it's your messaging, you can go ahead and grab some of my free stuff. I've got a free messaging toolkit. You'll find that at www.deirdremartin.ie/messaging workbook. And that will help you refine your messaging, your tone of voice, and figure out how to speak to attract your ideal clients. that could be something that helps you. Or maybe you're looking to create a solid brand strategy and you're thinking, oh, Deirdre, what you said there about disruption, that might help spark some ideas. Well, then go to my website and get my brand strategy checklist, deirdremartin.ie/brand strategy checklist. That might help you stand out a little bit more. But whatever it is that you need some expert help on, remember this, that investing in yourself isn't just an expense. It's not an expense. And often what it actually is it's a strategic move that can transform your business and your life when you think about it like that. And often when you invest in yourself, that investment will result in lifelong skills, tools, techniques, templates, learning that you could never achieve by yourself. Okay, so folks, I really wanted to share that story with you because I want you to know and realize that it's not always been sunshine and rainbows for me. I have had freaking dark times, and those dark times have been so scary financially in terms of paying my bills, scary in terms of admitting to my husband that, fuck, I've got no money to help pay the mortgage this month. And especially coming up to Christmas that time. And for me, that situation, this is one of my biggest drivers and motivators in life and business. And when I grew up, and I don't share this story often or anywhere really, but I'm sharing it here in my podcast. When I grew up, my dad was an alcoholic and he didn't work and he had very serious health issues. And my mom was the breadwinner in our house. But my mom abandoned me when I was 14 years old and she left me at home with my dad. And any money that my dad did get, it came from the state. He didn't have a pension. He didn't have anything else, any serious illness benefit or anything like that that he could have claimed on. So we were freaking broke. We had a house, but there was a mortgage on it. And literally for me, at that time, St. Vincent de Paul's was where I got my money from, or food from. St. Vincent de Paul's called to our house once or twice a week with bread that was stale, that came from one of the homeless shelters that weren't used. We got tin stew, tin food, and it was hardly edible. But if it hadn't been for that help and the people who volunteered with St. Vincent de Paul, I would probably be homeless and starving. And that situation for me was like when as life went on for me, and I became a pregnant young lady at 20, I thought I'm never going to be in that situation. I'm never going to put my child in that situation. And as a single parent for some time, it was hand to mouth. And my husband grew up in a situation that wasn't totally dissimilar. And now we've both worked really freaking darn hard for a beautiful home and for a lifestyle that we never had as children growing up. And a major motivator for me in life and business is to help others never, ever find themselves in that situation, ever. And whether throughout my years in the bank, when I worked there, it was educating people financially of things that could help them make money, ways to save money, how to avoid fees, even on their bank account, how to educate them in so many ways. And in business, it's the same. I really just want to help people to get them to a level so that they're never in that situation. And that time at December 2022, when shit was hard, all that stuff came back up for me. And it was really scary. It was so scary. So I'm sharing this with you because I really want you to know and understand that it is hard out there. So if you're hearing this and you're thinking, why is she sharing this with me? I want you to know that if you're feeling like between a rock and a hard place, like I was, but you're determined to help people and you know you can, then maybe what I had done at that time was I got a freelance role to help me keep some funds coming in. That helped. And there are other ways that you can make money too. Yeah, just know that there are so many ways to make money and that you can get through it and you will get through it. Okay, folks, that is a wrap for today. If you found this episode useful, please do me a solid and go and share it with a friend. Sharing is caring, absolutely is, but it also helps the podcast reach more people. And reaching people is what keeps us showing up every single week. So don't forget to leave us a rating on wherever you're listening, and you can drop a review if you listen on Apple Podcasts. And yeah, it really does make a difference. So folks, until next time, keep mastering your business. Bye.